Have you ever reached into the password vault of your preference just to find out that the demo org that you've been working on for weeks expired? I know that pain. I mean, that's terrible, right? When I started working on Salesforce, we used to have 6 months to a year before a developer org expired, right? And then we started getting all these like specialty developer orgs, industries, specialized solutions. And then we started getting trial orgs. Like there were some situations where you couldn't do the developer org or you had to install a bunch of packages. You would just do a trial org, right? Those lasted about a month sometimes. And then Data Cloud came along and we used to go to Trailhead and open ourselves like a new playground or something like that. That lasted a week, not more than that. If you were a partner, you were lucky to get maybe 30 days. And then Agentforce came along and the situation was similar, right? We didn't really have orgs where we could play with these things over a long period of time, which was a problem. Now, Salesforce recently announced their new Agentforce Data Cloud developer orgs. These orgs are based on a completely different infrastructure, right? Detached from production. And these are great, but they said these are going to expire in 45 days. Don't get me wrong, I'll take 45 over 7 days any day, right? It's great. 45 days is great. But, it is going to happen. We are going to forget when our org is going to expire. And Salesforce is going to send us emails warning us most probably, but these emails, they fall through cracks. And, if they are in a standard format, you are most likely to ignore those compared to other customized emails. So what I have decided to do is to create a schedule triggered flow that's going to email me before my new developer org expires. It's not rocket science. It's going to check every night what the last login date and time is. And if 40 days have passed since the last login, it's going to send out an email to the user who is the creator of the org. These new orgs, unless you change the username, they come with a username that ends with @agentforce.com. So I leverage that. It's going to look up that user, and then it's going to email the email address that the user provided when they created the org. So without further ado, let me just show you how I built that. And I'm going to also provide you with a link that'll help you install that flow if you don't want to build it yourself. So this is my Agentforce and Data Cloud DevOrg, the new DevOrgs, right? You can see that when you look at the URL, it's going to say org farm, right? Let's go ahead and check company information as well. When I go to my company information, I'm going to see that the instance is CAN96. I wonder if all of these are on the same instance. Probably, until we hit the volume requirements. By the way, these have been acting very slow. I don't know whether they are going to fix that or is there an issue. I have no idea. But still, they are very useful. Now, remember that these actually come with constraints about how much you can use your AI features. But I mean, that should be plenty for you. You shouldn't really hit any of those limits unless you're using your dev org for some kind of project, that's production adjacent, right? So these, according to Salesforce, expire in 45 days. That's what the website says. I've seen different lengths mentioned, but I'm going to have to take their word for it. So it says like that, on the web page where you generate the org. So what I have done here is I have created a flow for me to kind of check how long it has been for me to log into this org, right? It's going to do a check every day. So now I call this flow no expire, last login email schedule triggered flow. And what it does is it's going to run daily, close to midnight, 1 minute before midnight, and it's going to get the user based on the username. Now, when I hardcode things in my flows, I usually use a constant so that when I go back to the flow, I know what parameters I could actually change or I should be verifying and changing. So the username search string is in a constant and it's looking for at agentforce.com. Now remember, when you create your org, you can actually change your username. So, I'm just assuming you're not going to do that, or you're going to have to change this search string. If you don't change anything, if you go by the defaults, then your username is going to end with at agentforce.com. That's how Salesforce set this thing up. So it's looking for that user, and that user is going to be your user in this dev org, and it's going to pick up only the first record. There should be only one, right? So that's why I haven't sorted it. I could have, I guess. And then I'm going to go to the login history. As most of you know, there is actually a login history object in Salesforce that you can query. And then it's going to get the first record without any constraints, descending in descending order by login time. So it's going to get the most recent login record. And it's going to check whether the last login is within the last 40 days. I use the formula here. I usually create a formula that actually produces a number and I check against that, but that's not what I did here. So there is actually a formula that says flow current date and time minus the day differential constant, which I'm going to use as a parameter. It's going to reside in this constant. I'm going to check the last login date against that, whether the last login is greater than or equal, and let's check the day differential, that's 40, is greater than or equal today's date minus 40, right? Or now date and time minus 40. So if the last login is within the last 40 days, then there's nothing to be done. So it's going to abandon. Remember, this flow doesn't really have an object in the start element. It's just going to perform a scheduled job, get that last login record on the user. And if that last login record is within the last 40 days, it's not going to do anything. If it is not, meaning the last login is older than 40 days, it's going to send out an email. And there's an email text template that I'm using for the body. It's going to email the user email. So whatever email address the user provided when registering this dev org. And the subject is going to read, warning, action needed. Dev org needs new login not to expire, right? And then let's also check the text template here. The text template is going to say, warning, action needed. Dev org needs new login not to expire. And it's going to provide the username. And if you're using a password vault, like, 1Password or something like that, which I use, you're going to be able to easily search for that username. Remember, the username has to be unique all across your Salesforce orgs. You should be able to easily locate which org this is. And it's going to also tell you the last login date and time here. And that way you will know you need to act and log in into this org so that the org doesn't expire on you, right? Let me just show you also how the email looks. You're going to receive this email that's going to tell you warning, action needed. And the email is going to have all this information. And this user is going to help you identify which org you're dealing with, right? I had to change the 40-day limit or 40-day differential, let's say, and simulate for me to see this email in my email account. As you can see, the last login time is March 24, and today is March 25th, but I still got the email because I removed that differential requirement. But if you don't change anything in the flow, you're going to receive this email when it has been at least 40 days since the last login, right? And you can build this flow yourself. It's not really that difficult, or you can install it from an unmanaged package I'm going to provide. The link is going to be in the description of this video. So you can just click on that link and install that unmanaged package into your dev org. And if you've not changed your username, it still ends with @agentforce.com, you're going to receive this email. It's an unmanaged package that includes just one flow template. And interestingly enough, when we tested this, the flow actually comes in installed and activated. So you can just check for that. If your flow is already active, you can see under your scheduled jobs, it's going to check every night and email you when the time comes. Enjoy, folks.